Very much, and we will start rolling. All right. I'm now calling the open session of the September 28th, 2022 regular meeting to order. And we will go ahead and start with the Pledge of Allegiance. If you'd please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, can I get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Mervin.
Here.
Councilmember Petrulo.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza.
Present.
Mayor Burse. Here. And Councilmember Ackerman is absent.
Perfect, thank you. All right, could I get an approval of the agenda order, please?
So moved. Second. Second.
Can I have a motion and a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion passes. Moving to item 3, consent calendar. All items on the consent calendar are routine in nature and will be approved by one blanket motion unless an item is removed from the consent calendar for separate discussion. Does anybody want to remove any items from the consent calendar tonight?
3A.
3A, okay. Any other items? All right, seeing none, can I get a motion to approve the consent calendar with the exception of item 3A?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, item 3A. You want to take it away, Joe?
Yeah, I had a question on page 5. And it shows that the annual allocation for this year is 11% down. And I was just wondering if you could explain, Wes, if you could explain why that's down 11%. Because with gas taxes, well, with gas price being up, gas tax should be up. Everything on there should be up. So my question is, why is that down 11%?
Joe, I don't have that answer for you tonight, but I can definitely look into it and get back to you on that. It's the finance director is the one who puts this together and can answer that question for you.
Yeah. So and it's just, it stands out as odd. That's why I would look at it. So is that an item that we have to approve today, or can we hold that item to the next meeting?
I think the funding is what it is. It's reflective of what we know is there. So other than providing information to you after the fact as to why the funding's down, we can provide that analysis to you.
Okay.
But the number's not going to change. This is the allocations that we were told. We have to do this formally to actually receive the funding.
Yeah, and the allocations we're told are from the state and from the county. Is that correct?
I believe so.
Yeah. So it's, my question, I guess, is really to the county and to the state as to why, with the price of gas roughly double what it was 2 years ago, why is the tax amount down 11%?
This might be worthwhile to also bring PCTPA in to just give us a general update because there's a lot of turmoil happening right now.
Yep.
And I guarantee this is directly related.
Yep. That's my thought too.
I know we do have PCTPA either coming to present at the next meeting or a subsequent meeting on the unmet transit needs. November 9th, and we could have them address it at that time as well.
Yeah,
I would, in the interim, we will make sure we get an answer for
Yeah,
you.
I would also ask the board of directors of Placer County the same question. Why is it down? Because even our part of the allocation from the county is down. So it's opposite of reality because more money is being spent. So one would think this number would go way up. And since it all affects what we can spend on roads and road repair and road replacement, I think it's a critical number for us to understand.
Valid point.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with that, I'll make a motion to approve 3A pending feedback on this item from both the county and from state or PCTPA, whoever controls it.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion passes. Moving to item 4, agency reports, starting with Placer County Sheriff's Department.
Good evening. Our stat machine is broken. So I can speak to the one side of the week, which is Sunday through Wednesday. Those are the days I'm here. And it's been pretty routine in the city of Colfax, which is nice. We had that fire in Forest Hill. There was a lot of mutual aid efforts and a lot of time spent helping with that type of stuff. But the time that I was in town, which was all, I guess it was all my normal shift, I can't think of anything that stands out unless anybody has any questions that I can answer for you. Not a single one?
No.
I got to hang out with Sean at an alarm. It was fun.
Yeah.
Good response. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm sorry. We'll have stats for you next week. For whatever reason, the site isn't working. Sorry
Well,
about
that's
that.
fine. You get off easy tonight, don't you? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, CHP, what do you got for us?
It's low bid. Hi, good evening. Chris Nate, California Highway Patrol, Gold Run area. As the sheriff said, not a lot to report for us. We were tied up with the fire for a long time. So we finally got taken off a tactical alert. So I got a day off this weekend. It was great. I stacked work. So yesterday we did have a good caper. We had an officer make a traffic stop westbound at Inner Gap. 2 female passengers, both 22, yielded to the shoulder. They switched drivers and then took off. The pursuit started, went about 18 miles down towards Secrettown Road, where we successfully spiked the vehicle, spike strip. The vehicle kept going for another mile, then crashed on 3 Mile grade into the concrete wall there. Driver fled on foot, and the passenger tried to get out. The vehicle rolled. She got her leg pinned between the door and the vehicle, so she didn't get to run away. But we caught the driver. Both individuals had they were tied into the big commercial theft stuff that's going on. I don't know if you guys watched the news, seen this, but they had 25 bags of stolen property from the mall up in Reno and everything. If I can remember this right, but there was sunglasses hat. There was over $15,000 worth of merchandise from there. And then a couple other stores, I was gonna say the fancy underwear store, but Victoria's Secret store. There was some. So, but anyway, there's over $25,000 worth of merchandise that we collected from that arrest. And then our ISU, which is our investigative services unit, they are taking over the investigation from here. So that was good. We caught the bad guys this time. So, and nobody was hurt except for the lady, our leg pinned in the door, but she'll be okay. Other than that, that's about it. And we did have a minor crash on Lawrence Lake Road today. Went over the side. It was a non-injury crash. Anything for me?
Any questions?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So I got a question. A couple of the businesses have asked me, and it says, in light of all these, I don't know what you call them, gang thefts that are going on in stores and stuff, where people go in and just rob the place blind and go out. What actually happens if something like that goes on? Like, what's the right response, or from a store owner standpoint, what's the right perspective on this?
As far as what to do?
Yeah, what to do, and then what happens after, if the people get caught, what happens next? Maybe it's a sheriff question, but
No, it's fine. Sorry, I have a very jaded view on these things. So I'm trying not to deliver opinion.
Yep.
So yeah, you call 911, then it'll be the sheriff that responds first, or if it's a state facility, it'll be us. Police can respond, and hopefully we catch them. Then you charge them with whatever the amount stolen is, which is likely a felony. If it's that much, $25,000, that's enough for felony. So, and that's it. And the investigator goes from there. Is that, are you wanting more? Go ahead.
So like with the pursuit yesterday, I got invited because I was close. Unfortunately, I got there as soon as it ended, which was a bummer. But I went back to the sub and I was like, wait, if they're coming westbound with a ton of stolen property, came from Reno. So
Both are from the Bay Area.
what happens is if it's after the fact and we catch the people, you have to be an investigator and say, okay, they're coming from, this stuff has to come from Reno. So I called Reno PD and I said, hey, what thefts did you take today? Do you have any organized retail crime? And he goes, let me look and I'll call you back. And then he said, calls back. Do they have sunglasses in the car? So some of this stuff hadn't even been reported yet, or it had been reported, but they hadn't had time to get someone out to take a report. So he's looking in pending calls because they ripped it all off and they were headed home. So if it happens in our jurisdiction, which the city of Colfax is pretty safe from this kind of stuff because we don't have any department stores. So they want to go somewhere where there's a lot of merchandise. Ulta gets hit all the time in Auburn. Departments, the mall gets hit where they can go in and they can do some serious damage very quickly and get back on the highway. We don't have enough inventory in the whole city for these people to want to target Colfax. But if they did, it's quick in, quick out. And then if someone's there immediately, they never stop for us. And so once we get them to stop, which CHP is super good at, then obviously if we're there for the whole time, we know what happened. But if it's something like this, you just start taking guesses and hopefully something sticks. And so we were able to put all the pieces together, or enough pieces together, that the arresting officer got put in touch with Reno PD. And
So now it's in the hands of our investigative services unit. So they're doing the investigative to find out if they're tied into more activity, which likely they are. But that's where it's at now. So now the investigation starts and you start digging to find out what else we can find out about these two individuals. So Reno PD will be involved because it happened in Reno, which never mind. So never mind. Okay, so
We do have a question from the public.
sure.
Tim, could you come up so we can actually get your question on the microphone? So Tim's asking, and I'm just repeating for those online, what the public does if you're in the moment as a victim of this crime.
Call 911. Be the best witness you can be. That's a rule to tell people. We try not to tell people to intervene as much as you want to. Be the best witness. Get plates, get descriptions, take pictures, that sort of thing, and then obviously call 911. So
at the end of the day, it's a problem. So
Wait, step up to my point.
just to reiterate, at the end of the day, it's property. It's not worth risking our lives for it. We don't know if this is we're going to do different things than you're going to do. But we don't know if this is the 50th time they've done it and they have some serious prison time hanging over their heads, or who they are or what they have. So as a member of the public or as a store owner, do not intervene or try to stop this stuff, right? We all have insurance. We have a license plate or a photograph, if you can do that, is invaluable in this investigation. Somebody getting hurt over a box of sunglasses is silly. And these people might be willing to do some very rash things to get away with these sunglasses because we don't know how many times they've done it or what they think their consequences are going to be compared to what's actually happening in real life. And you never want to put yourself between that and some property it'll all be handled by insurance and work itself out.
Yeah. So having one of the suggestions that came up was should a business have additional cameras?
100%. Absolutely.
Looking out towards the street.
Yep. Like we just tell everybody, be the best witness you can be. Video cameras are everywhere now. And you need to have them. I have them at the baseball field now because we've been broken into. So have cameras. Lighting is key. Good lighting is a big deal. But people are just getting so brash now. It doesn't matter. They're doing broad daylight in a crowded mall. So,
Okay. All right, thanks.
anything else?
I think that's all we have. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, perfect. We will move to Placer County Fire Department, CAL FIRE.
Good afternoon, Madam Mayor, City Council, City Manager Jeff Lovelace, CAL FIRE, Placer County Fire Department Battalion Chief. So I actually haven't talked to you in probably about a month or 6 weeks. So I'll kind of just give a real quick update on not only what the fire is doing, but what we're sitting on for some of the potential. So real quick update, mosquito fire, it's 76,775 acres and it's 85% contained. With the evacuations, and there's no evacuations anymore, there's still are some road closures. Those are due to some of the safety aspects of the affected burn area. So those are still in place. So a majority of the folks that are working on that are doing fire suppression repair, trying to put it back to normalcy. Any of the equipment damage to the ground and things like that, they're mitigating. With the fire weather, we did get some rain last week that definitely helped us out. So it increased our fuel moisture, which put us really back to where we should be, where the standard is. To kind of get it in perspective, when this fire, the mosquito fire took off, the fuels, the 100-hour fuels, we're about 7%. The critical is 9%. With the rain, we ended up getting up to 20, but we are back down to 13%. So with some of the weather that we're getting, it is drying it out with some of the north dry wind that we're getting, and that should be expected all the way through Saturday. So whether we get back to those significant critical levels or where we're at is all going to be time adjusted, or we'll find out as the time continues to go on. For the statistics of where we're at, again, I'll do that next meeting, kind of do that at the end of the month, but we should have those. With Rescue 36, I know this was a big concern, which actually played out perfectly with the structure fire that we had yesterday. So Rescue 36, to kind of recap, had some damage in one of the compartments. That was getting replaced or fixed, and actually went down to the shop 2 weeks, so last week, to start working on that. Probably another 3 weeks, I can assume, the body work until it's complete. In the meantime, as I said, we were going to have replace the Rescue with the utility, which is basically a pickup that we're able to put some equipment in, and then including getting a Type 3 engine, which is a wildland engine at Station 37. So we put those in place yesterday or last week, and then it just happened to be a good timing where we had one of our residents or our volunteers that ended up able to respond because we had that pickup there, and was able to respond to the structure fire that we had at Pine Street. So that structure fire was more of an exterior. It was an AC that ended up catching fire. This was a two-story residential, catching fire, dropping down into the deck, which caught some of that and then started getting up some of that exterior siding. So with the quick response, not only from the volunteers, but other surrounding agencies, we were able to put that, mitigate that fire fairly quickly. And it was a good story where nobody got hurt. Other than that, we did.
It sounded like there was like 9 separate sirens that went off within about a 5-minute window.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, that's a really good thing. Yeah.
So, yeah, there was, just in the area itself, we're able to respond quickly. We had all our resources. And then again, with the volunteers that were able to respond. So I think the whole thing is, even though it was a structure fire and there was damage, nobody got hurt. And I'd say that was a success. We did end up purchasing some medical equipment and medical bags for updates. A lot of these went to the pieces of equipment. As time goes on and the medical aids that we run, things start breaking, getting dirty, plus the, just the exposure to patients as we go through. So we were able to get the funding to purchase new medical bags. So when we make entry on some of these houses, we have clean bags and everything up kept well. So that's just a new update for some of those. Just for a quick safety, I'll just stick with the ready, set, go, because even though we did get some of this rain, we still are on fire season. There is still that potential, especially as we get these fuels that dry back out. And I just want to make sure everybody's not complacent on understanding where the weather is and the quick changes that can happen. So make sure you're ready, set, and then if the evacuations is sent to go with your plan. That's all I have.
Wonderful. Do you have any questions?
I have one question or comment. It's either Wes or it's you or it's a combination. Can somebody talk about the effort that we started about 9 months ago with UP to get that whole area and hill cleaned up along there? And it's.
Sure, no problem. So about 9 months ago, we made an effort, I think at the direction of council, to work with UP to kind of mitigate some of their fuels along the tracks within the city limits. Initially, we were able to get some traction because they had a crew already in Auburn. They sent up a crew and they did some mastication. They called it mastication. It was a terrible job on there, and then quickly left. Subsequent to that, we reached back out to UP with a lot of effort, and I got to give Martin credit for being tenacious enough to kind of get their attention again. To now, they actually sent up a new crew. It looks like they're doing a lot of fuel mitigation on the north side of town at this point, up and along, I think below even your home too, yep. Joe, up there, yeah. With intents to thin all of that material out on there. They've done a bunch of mastication on the south side of town as well, especially by Linda Daniels' house, who's expressed a lot of displeasure with UP not getting that work done. But if you go there in front of her home today, it's all masticated. It looks wonderful. Yeah. So at this point, they're still continuing to work on there. I don't know how much more they're going to be doing at this point, but hopefully they'll get most of it cleared out and then come up with what the plan is to manage that moving forward.
Yep. So they went through, just my observations, they went through and did remove all the lower level brush so they could get in there, cut a lot of the dead trees out and a lot of the down trees out. And then they came back and did a second pass for some of the areas. And for as you go a little bit higher on the ridge, that's a third pass that's yet to be done. And there's still a lot of dead trees up there, but the amount of material they removed is just tremendous. So the fire risk, the Colfax from that area there, I think is just a tremendous reduction. Good. And it affects the whole length of the track going through town.
Thank you, Wes.
I just wanted to comment. Thank you for following through and figuring out a way to get pipe up here. It's a very important piece of equipment for the city. So it's great to see that finally happen. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right. If no one has any other questions, thank you. All right. Do we have any of our nonprofits here this evening? All right.
I've got an item from Fred for railroad days.
Yeah.
So he wanted to get some feedback from council about railroad days. Mm-hmm. So everybody knows Sunday ended up being canceled. Sunday morning at about 7 or 7:30 in the morning, he had about half of the vendors call him up and cancel because the day was expected to be rain all day, and some of the rain was listed as the heaviest rain. Turned out rain didn't come in until about 5 o'clock, so a different problem happened. The antique car or car show part of it, they also canceled. So he had to make a tough decision around 7:30 in the morning. He says, is it on or is it off? So his question was, okay, what is council's thought about railroad days? Because I think he feels, terrible that it had to be canceled on Sunday. But he was just asked for council's opinion.
Our opinion on his decision or on how the event went as a whole? Yeah. I mean, I felt like they did a fantastic job of organizing, and I feel like they really dealt with a lot of turmoil that was completely outside of their control. I know that they struggled with a few vendors who dropped out at the last moment, poor communication, and I think they did a really good job of trying to smooth over everything that was kind of being hurled at them. And
even with they bought the extra insurance that cost like $2,000 for the UP trains that were supposed to come up here, which didn't come up. So that's the second year in a row the UP backed out.
Yeah.
So, last second. Right. So I would like to suggest, could we just write a nice letter to Fred and just thanking him for railroad days? Because I thought Saturday's thing went very, very well. The couple of vendors that did cancel, out of about 70 some vendors that he immediately had backfills for them. So, and that's a lot of last minute scrambling to do to get a vendor who we didn't have a spot for. Now all of a sudden we got a spot, and it's now.
Yeah.
Right. So that was, I thought, a really nice job that they did. So.
No, they did a really good job of juggling the hurricane that was happening. So,
yeah. And anytime you do an outdoor event, you're always subject to weather.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's the risk we run with every outdoor event. So, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Definitely got a second that.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that's a good idea.
Went really well. I'm looking forward to having the event again next year.
Yeah.
Joe, would you like to help draft
I'll
that?
be more than happy to.
That would be appreciated.
Just give me a call once when you're ready, and I'll come down and we'll draft something. Right.
Thank you.
Right.
Okay, I don't see any other nonprofits. Andy, I hate to put you on the spot, but would you mind, as schools, giving either an agency report or at least coming up and introducing yourself? Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. I'm Andy Giannini. I'm the new superintendent at Colfax Elementary School District. And thank you for having me here today. And I'm excited to be here. I've been on the job now, I think, officially for 5 weeks. It's been great. It's been great getting to know the staff and the students. It's an awesome community. We have some extraordinarily dedicated teachers. I don't know how many of you in the audience have students in the school district right now. Well, the school staff is absolutely amazing. We have some upcoming events at the school. We have a jogathon this Friday. We've had girls basketball is going on. I was at the girls basketball game today. It was really exciting. The 7th grade girls are doing very well. We also have a fall festival coming up later on in a couple of weeks, and then we'll be doing some Halloween festivities too. But we're really working on putting some structures in place to provide support and intervention for some of our students, because COVID has not been easy on kids. I know that you all know this, but being at home learning is not the ideal way of learning. And so getting them back in person has been great, but there are some deficits with lots of our students in learning. So we're putting programs in place to help them with the reading and the writing and the math. But we're also trying to build up our enrichment programs too. So this week was exciting because we just got to start a bunch of clubs. And I know a lot of the kids were really excited. I think we have about 320, I think probably about 327 students at the moment right now. And I think probably about 100 of them are in clubs right now, because we have 9 different clubs. We have clubs everywhere from ceramics to robotics to Lego Club, which was actually one of the most popular clubs, and then cinema and other things. So it's really exciting to see the kids and the excitement around the campus. So if you want to, come down and be a part of it, come on down. We're looking for volunteers to help out. We're also always looking for substitute custodians and substitute paraprofessionals and people who want to work as campus supervisors. So please come down to the school and join us. And one other thing, Trinity came over and visited with us, and we were talking about facility use. We really want to get Colfax Elementary back on the map for facility use, because I wasn't here before COVID, but my understanding was that the school was used quite a bit by the community. We would have junior Falcon football. We'd have junior Falcon cheerleaders. We would have, was it not junior? Okay.
You're fine.
And we would have, just even, people from the community that come and run our facilities. Well, the facilities are wide open, ready to go. So as you know, our gymnasium is probably one of the nice buildings in the entire city, and we'd like to host events. So if you're interested and you want a big venue, look us up. All right. Thank you for having me talk a little bit. Any questions?
No, just so excited to see the change in administrative staff, and I can't wait to see all the great things you guys are going to bring to Colfax Elementary. It's very, very exciting.
Yeah, we're excited too. And I failed to mention, but we have a new principal too, Annette Udall, who is a local celebrity. How many of you know Annette? Annette is awesome. She is the former assistant principal at Colfax High. And she is very knowledgeable about all things educationally related and also a real good connection with the community. And the nice thing about Annette too, she's already got that connection with the high school back. So we're working on providing some opportunities for our middle school kids to go over to Colfax for extended math learning, for advanced math. That's going to start in the spring. And we're also kind of trying to look to see if we can get some music or some other kind of programs where the kids can walk over during the fourth block or the fifth block and be a part of those things. So things are looking good. All right.
Thank you so much. And I just want to echo Sean's sentiments that the changes that we're seeing right now with the school are night and day and absolutely all the right ways. And I don't think we could possibly be happier than we are right now. Jim, did you want to make a comment real quick?
Yeah. Absolutely thrilled that you're here. Contrary to what you get along and what those buildings, the evening, certainly in school, I'm concerned, not going to be good. Being on guard.
So just repeating for the public online, because we didn't have the microphone. Jim brought up the fact that we don't have an armed security personnel at the school. So Andy's going to go ahead and touch on that really quick.
That's a great question. In fact, this is a hot topic for myself. One of the things that's one of my top priorities is just who I am is safety. I'm really big on safety. We do have a safe school officer who is in contact with us all the time and is on speed dial with us, who works all the time down at Colfax High School. That comes up. But one of the things we're also doing to kind of increase safety, which, you know, is the unfortunate fact of our existence in this world we live in today, right? Is to try to prevent intruders from having direct access to classrooms. Is that one of the changes we made is we're locking all of our exterior classroom doors. So that started actually on Monday. So from here on out throughout the day, no intruder could walk on campus and just have access to our classrooms. But we're looking also at some other safety measures to put in place. We're looking at reunification, putting some reunification measures in place. This was a big situation with Alta Dutch just recently when they had the fire up there. They almost brought a whole bunch of students down to Colfax because they were shutting down the highway. And we were going to have to do a reunification with Alta Dutch Flats parents. It turned out we didn't have to do it, but it really drove home the point that we also need to be prepared for such an event if there's going to be a fire. So we're working on all those kinds of safety protocols too, as we're moving forward.
Thank you very much. All right, so that concludes our agency reports. We have no presentations tonight. Let's see here. We do have a public hearing. So we'll go ahead and jump into that with the presentation from staff.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. My name is Emmanuel Ursu. I'm the planning director. This evening we have the application for restoration and renovation of the historic Colfax Hotel at 10 East Grass Valley Street. The applicant is here this evening, so they'll be available to answer any questions and may have a presentation of their own. Next slide, please. So the project, as you all know, is located right across from City Hall here, across the railroad tracks. That's Grass Valley Road on the street on the top side of the screen, and South Auburn on the right side. The project includes converting 450 square feet at the front end of the building along the Grass Valley frontage to commercial space, and 8 hotel rooms, 4 on each side of the building behind the commercial space. And then at the second and third floor, there'd be 8 apartment units that would be available for long-term and short-term rental. Those units are each 2 stories, as you'll see in the floor plan. Next slide. This is the site plan, Grass Valley Street's on the left side. The alley, Gillen Alley, is on the far right side. 8 of the parking spaces are accommodated on site. Those are the angled parking spaces that would be added along the alley. The area behind the building would be developed with gardens and a courtyard. And the building itself, there'd be no change to the building envelope, no additions. It's a remodel and a renovation. Some of the requirements in the conditions of approval are that the applicant obtain access either through acquiring the property or an easement for the 2 set of stairs that go up on the west side. That's the bottom side. Those cross the property line. So those would, that area would need to be acquired by the property, by the applicant, or an access easement. In addition, the code allows parking to be met off-site through either a long-term lease or by acquisition in fee by an applicant. 8 of the parking spaces would be accommodated on site, and the balance, so 14, the staff report says 15, they were able to get 8 on site. So 14 would need to be accommodated off site. Next screen, please. This is a proposal for the west elevation. A sign plan is not part of this application package. So just the sign may or may not be in that location. Next. And that is the view from the street, from Grass Valley Street. Next. This is the first floor plan. Grass Valley Street's to the right side. That red area is the approximately 450 square feet of commercial space. And then the porch kind of wraps around all 4 sides of the building. There are 4 hotel rooms that would be accessed from the west side, 4 from the east side. And you'll see there are connecting doors between at the backs of the rooms to connect rooms if clients want to have a double room. Set of stairs on the exterior on the far right-hand side. Those would lead up to the second floor. Next slide. This is the floor plan for the main floor area of the 8 apartment units, 4 per side. There'd be 2-story units. The main floor would have the kitchen area, primary living areas, and a half bath. And then there's a set of stairs that go up to a landing and then turns and goes up to the 3rd floor, which is the 2nd floor of these units. Next slide. And this is where the bedrooms would be located and the full bathrooms. Again, there are 8 total units that would be included in the project. Next. So just some shots of the building as it currently exists. The fire district, fire department has conditioned that ladder truck be within 15 feet, but no more than 30 feet from the facade of the building. Basically, looks like they may need to put those along this side of the street, this side of the building in the street. So some of those existing, there's 4 or 5 parking spaces on the street. A few of those may be lost in order to accommodate the required fire apparatus access. Next. This is the side facing the railroad. The parking out front is not on the project site. The applicant will need to come back at a future meeting to obtain either a long-term lease or acquisition otherwise of access to those parking spaces. Next. Same side of the building. Next. So the site is designated commercial in the general plan and retail commercial zoning. Next. Land use entitlements required is design review, conditional use permit, and a variance. The design review is actually historic design review under the code. There are 2 sets of design review standards, one for historic structures And this design review is limited to reviewing the exterior changes to the buildings. There's some minor changes to the building color, some trim work, the site improvements. So those are subject to the historic design review. The conditional use permit is for the multifamily residential component. And then the variance is required for the parking along the alley. The municipal code requires parking to, when exiting a commercial property, to exit forward rather than back out into the public right of way. And these are angled parking spaces that you'd back out into the alley, which technically is the public right of way. It's consistent with development here in the rest of the downtown. Next. Parking, speaking of parking, there's a total of 23 spaces, 22 for standard size vehicles and 1 for a delivery vehicle. And actually the code allows 10% of the parking requirements to be met with motorcycle parking. So they do have 2 motorcycle parking spaces. Both are along the alley. Next. So staff's recommendation is that the city council review the agenda packet for this item and approve the resolution that's contained in the agenda packet along with the findings that are contained in that resolution and the conditions of approval attached thereto. That concludes my report. Available for any questions the council may have.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. So at this time, I think what we'll go ahead and do is we will open the public hearing. So the public hearing has officially been opened. Do we have any comments or statements from the applicant?
Glad to be here. We're really happy to be here in Colfax. The city's been great. Emmanuel, he's been great. We're hoping to improve this building. Finally, it's been sitting there for so many years that I know a lot of people are going, when and if it's ever going to happen, but here we are. The usage that we're requesting was kind of dictated by the layout that the building was in when we purchased it. It had already been carved up into the 8 units on the 2nd and 3rd floor. Stairs in, sheeting, all the framing's pretty much done, as well as the sprinkler system that was installed some years ago was done to accommodate the existing layout that's there today. So the downstairs, I think, years back, they had anticipated doing mostly retail space. My wife and I, Wendy here, we're in the lodging business. That's kind of what we do. We have a couple of very small boutique style motels and some Airbnb vacation rentals in and around this area. Born and raised here locally, Forest Hill actually, went to Placer, have been coming to Colfax, had businesses here in Colfax years ago. And so we're kind of excited about moving forward with this thing and seeing if we can't make it happen. And if you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them if I can.
Well, thank you very much. So at this time, in conclusion to the presentations we just had, do we have any questions from council for the applicant or for staff?
Just a technical question. This stuff that's on the table here is not part of the package because we haven't reviewed this stuff yet.
This is the same stuff.
This is the same that's in the.
I just make sure. Yeah,
It's the same steps, but in print form for you. For
I haven't crawled through this, so I don't know.
Yeah,
But
it's the same.
Same as in the package. I think.
Okay, so with that being said, oh, sorry,
I have
did
a
you?
question.
You do have a question.
I have a
Okay.
question.
No, sorry.
Marty
I
has
have
a
a
question.
question. Thank you. Good to see you again.
Nice to see
So
you.
happy that we're moving forward.
Yes.
You said that you had other,
Boutique hotels?
Yeah, so we have
hotels.
we have a
What,
16-room little motel that Wendy and I own with a partner in Forest Hill. It's called Forest Hill Miners Camp. It's a series of little cabins that we operate. We've been in business there for 7 years. Yeah, 6 or 7 years. And then a little over, well, almost 2 years ago now, we purchased the Dutch Flat Hotel.
That's the one I was looking for.
Yeah.
Can
and
you
so
tell me about that? Cause that place is gorgeous.
Yeah. That's why we fell in love with it. It retains a lot of the original furniture, decorations, a lot of the original building is still there, unlike, unfortunately, this hotel. Over the years, it's been stripped and a lot of the original moldings and stuff have been taken out. So our goal is to hopefully put it back, to look like it did years ago. And that's why when you look at some of the moldings and stuff that we've done so far, we found one pediment in the building that we're able to copy the crown molding and the details. And we're also going by the pictures that are there. And if you noticed in some of the pictures, there was the signage. If you look at the old photos that are in City Hall, the same signage is there. So our goal is to not change it, but, to restore it. So.
Yeah, thank you for answering that question. I was looking for that because of how I met you guys, and I just think it's pretty ironic, and I'm really glad that this thing's moving forward. Excuse me. I'm trying to think if I have any other questions.
And we can always come back to. So why don't we go ahead and take public testimony and then we will circle back.
I'm done with my questions. Thank you.
Perfect. So at this time, do we have any public testimony? And then Marguerite, do we have anybody online?
Yes, we do have one comment on Facebook. Jane Gallagher states the side street angled parking has one-way traffic that is going to require drivers to exit onto Auburn Street just after a curve. Will there be lights, signs, any special warnings? Could the access to the hotel parking be from a right-hand only turn into the side street?
Yeah, so city engineer and I went back and forth multiple times on the alley and circulation in the alley. The plan actually shows an arrow indicating that'd be one-way access. The city engineer is comfortable with that being two-way access along that street. So it would not be a one-way going east or up the hill. So hope that answers that question.
Okay. All right. So if we have no more public testimony at this time, let's see here. I'll go ahead and close the public hearing. And we will go ahead and move back to council comments, questions, and discussion.
Could be more excited. There you go.
Yep, I think it's just going through the details and material. I think it's just well laid out for what you're going to do. I think you understand the scope of the work that's ahead of you. And I think this will be just a tremendous addition to the downtown area.
I have no questions.
Okay, great. So I was wondering, so on the parking situation with the upstairs where we're talking about, possible longer term lodging and maybe more Airbnb style with the units, are we discussing having the parking spaces for those units be reserved specific to those units? Okay.
You're gonna have to go up to the mic because they won't hear you online. Sorry.
We are going to improve that alley. That was one of the requirements, was to pave and do some improvements there. I don't think we've hammered out the details as to whether they're reserved. I personally wouldn't like them to be reserved. We tried to squeeze in enough spots on the alley that possibly we could make those for tenants and then allow customers, to use the ones out front or even further down in that railroad yard, possibly, that is going to be a future parking lot. So that's something that we're open to, working out with you folks, whatever you think's best. I would kind of hate for people to pull into town and not be able to park. That's my first reaction to that. So,
and I know it can be sensitive living downtown. I know that we've had several areas where parking maybe wasn't part of the initial conversation when the neighborhoods were built. And it's been a hot topic lately for our council. And so I just want to be sure that, you know, whoever is choosing to live in a very central part of downtown doesn't feel like they're being squeezed out by the general public because they can't find anywhere near their living situation to actually put their vehicle. I know that can be scary too, especially with vandalism we've had in the last few years, and you know, people want their vehicle close to their house. I don't think I have any additional questions though, but I just wanted to say I'm very grateful for the both of you, and this plan looks excellent to me, and I'm very grateful that you guys are taking the historic aspects and really holding to that. I mean, when I talked to Wes and he was commenting on how you guys were duplicating the original moldings that you were able to, I mean, that just makes me feel very comfortable that you guys really take this seriously. And we've had a long trail of people that haven't given us those feelings. So thank you. Well, if council doesn't have any additional questions at this time, I think we're ready to take an action. Do I have a motion?
I'll approve. Second.
All right, so.
Hey, Marty.
All right, so I've got a motion and a second from Joe. Perfect, all in favor?
Aye.
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 It's approved. Woohoo! Well, it was a good day. Thank you guys very much.
Can I ask you one side question? When do you think you complete?
Well, as soon as we can, get out of the building, which will.
Yep, approximately.
Summer of 2023.
Okay.
We would really like to be done.
So for the public at home, we were just quoted summer of 2023 as a tentative date. I know that's what you're all here waiting for.
Let's do it for the 3rd of July.
Yes.
Yep.
Madam Mayor, here's an opportunity to plug the progress of the thing on there. You have a website or something that.
Speak to that. It's called our overall umbrella of our businesses is called squarenail.co, which is square SQUARE nail.co. And it's because of our love for square nail projects that are built in, you know, the 1800s. Unfortunately, we just lost 2 in Forest Hill that burned through Michigan Black. But thank goodness we still have a lot, thanks to Colfax, who really stepped it up for us in Forest Hill. But our square nail business is just a showcase of the properties that we love, we cherish. We're so excited to be here with you guys. And I mean, it's a building that we've driven by for decades. So I used to work at Madonna's down the street when Madonna's was there, and we'd go to the movie theater. So we're just really, really excited. So it's squarenail.co.
Wonderful.
Follow our progress.
Thank you guys. All right, well, with that being said, we'll move to item 7, public comment. Do we have any public comments this evening?
Hello, council. My name is Tim Dion. I represent Golden State Patient Care. I just wanted to inform you that the laws that Gavin Newsom signed that he didn't veto are one that allows medical cannabis companies to exist in any town in the state of California. It preempts any local bans on medical marijuana dispensaries. So it's nothing that we would like. It's just how it worked out. And the other one that was kind of a surprise is he also signed interstate commerce. So California businesses can travel to other states, and the wordage is kind of iffy. So I don't know if the foreign companies meant the foreign states in our country, or just the actual foreign countries that are going to be into the state. Regardless, that's there. So that's kind of a international imports that'll be coming into Colfax if, let be. The other thing I want to ask is that if we can maybe have some meeting or discussion on us getting, and you guys getting more informed on the licensing and the definitions of the way they've changed, and the fact that the license that we hold and have is not a license that's recognized by the state anymore. Cities were never given plenary power to ban retailers. They could either allow them or ban them, but they weren't able to decide which type, whether it would be a medical or a recreational, because there was no retail in the adult use. AUMA with Prop 64, AUMA was possessing, cultivating, and gifting cannabis. The retail part that's in the rules that everybody goes by today was born out of the dispensaries that operated legally. So when they combined the two, the retail selling commercially part of it came from the original retail medical part of it. And then when they combined them, it was the MMRSA and the AUMA. So those combined to be the MAUCRSA. And before that, there was a tax involved in the name, and they made the tax the control and regulate adult use and medical marijuana control, and then there was the tax and the control part, and that was just to blend the two's taxes for the excise tax. But the where we sit and the way the council has kept going with our licensing as medical only, that's the nonprofit. It's a nonprofit license. We're not nonprofit. We haven't been. It was only given to cultivators and dispensers, manufacturers, delivery guys, non-storefront people, because they were licensed under Prop 215. When you guys gave us our license back in 2017, the way the law looked at it is we were operating a retail storefront. That right there gave the state and us approval because we were operating as a retailer. So since then, it's kind of been chiseled away from us, and we don't have the access to the gardens or the growers or the non-testing cannabis that's available to all these other people that can retail now in Colfax. So we have to, we're just asking to be able to exist in the market how the state intended and be able to compete with now the international community. So, there's companies whose revenues doubled last year, and ours haven't done anything. We haven't hired anybody. We pay better than any of the unions that you guys have than anyone around. My dad pays us way more, and unfortunately, we're not part of a union. We're not going to be, but we're the most local thing that this town has as far as, spending our money here and living here and caring about the community. So if I could just get somebody at some point to exchange ideas and
Thank you, Tim. I'd love to follow up with you on the conversation, especially specifically about the changes in the law recently.
Yeah, and I'd like to ask, do you have those bill numbers and you know who authored them, or can you get that information to me on what he, specifically signed, please?
So if you just Google Gavin Newsom's bills that he signed last weekend,
there's very long.
Well, that's why I'm asking, do you know the bill numbers?
No,
I can look them. I know they do that.
I know
that
that they're gonna have. And
Did you send that info to Wes?
I don't know who to send it to.
You just send it to Wes and he will send it to all of us.
All right.
That way all 5 of us get it, you all get the same.
What I would like to do in follow-up is take those bills and consult with our supplementary consultant that we have on retainer, and use what we're already paying for to get some professional opinions on how this affects our ordinance and.
Yeah,
absolutely.
We would like to use what we're already paying for, you know,
Right.
it doesn't change, just, you know, helps the streets of Colfax. You're welcome.
Thank you. Do we have any additional public comment this evening? Oh, we got Chris come on up and then we've got some online, it sounds like. No, go ahead.
Hi, Chris Nate, Colfax High School baseball coach. First off, thank God for you. I've been a member of this community for 50 years, and that thing has been an eyesore for as long as I've been alive and beyond. So thank you. I really hope that you follow through and it comes to fruition, because that would be such a blessing to this town. Welcome and thank you. From what I hear, you're a great addition. And that's a rock star, by the way. She's awesome. So I can tell you once again, born and raised here, in my opinion, this town revolves around those two schools. So the more that you can bring this town and those schools together, the better. You go to any football game on Friday night, you'll see the entire town there. So it's amazing. Sorry. So Chris Dave, Colfax High School baseball. I just want to invite anyone who's interested. We have our cornhole tournament fundraiser this Saturday at the Colfax ballpark. Anyone interested in playing, you can go to colfaxbaseball.org and sign up there. I just want to plug that. So anybody in the community wants to come out there, come support the boys. We need it. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Chris. All right, public comments online.
We have Kim Douglas.
Okay.
Hello, am I live?
Yes, we can hear you, Kim.
Oh, Kim Douglas, 9 Washington Street. When I was on the city council, I and the other members of the city council tried for years to try to get the current owner, which was the past owner, to put the hotel to its good intended use. And we got to, maybe to use a baseball metaphor, Chris, we got to first base, but no further. So I want to give kudos to the new owner, that because of him and the support of the new city council and city staff, we're now at third base, about to round third base and go to home and score a home run for Colfax. So again, kudos for everybody involved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, do we have any additional public comment?
No, we don't.
All right, well, with that being said, we will go ahead and move to council and staff reports, starting with Sean.
Nothing to report tonight.
Okay, Joe?
I just wanted to follow up on an item from 2 meetings ago when we were talking about the streets and the conditions of the streets. Where are we at on that? Because we had both my compatriot, who's not here with us right now, and myself, we volunteered. We need to get somebody to do it. We can get 2 guys together, get us trained, and we'll go out and do the streets.
To where I understand where we're at, Martin is still trying to work with the original engineering firm that put it together to get a cost quote on it. So we can evaluate how costly it would be for them just to do it. And then if it is costly, then we can bring it back for further discussion, but I'm still waiting for that to occur at this point.
Will we have an answer for the next council meeting?
I will make sure that you'll have an update for the next council meeting.
Right.
Can we make sure that that quote comes with a comprehensive scope? Because I think that's what I'm concerned about is, I mean, the price tag is great and all, but if we don't know what the comprehensive scope is, there's no point in the price tag.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect.
Okay. And then the other thing, I would just like to express my thanks to Martin for helping with all that UP stuff, because that's been a nightmare going through. And I know him and I have had probably 25 discussions on it, just trying to make that happen. And it's so nice seeing that it's actually coming through.
Perfect.
That's all.
Okay, Marnie?
So I've been in a lot of gratitude lately, and from where I live, I've seen some work and I'm like, yeah. Thank you, Joe, for doing that sidewalk in your area because it looks good. So thank you. I want to give you some kudos for making that improvement on sidewalks, which was one of the first things that I tried to attack in the city. So seeing that work done, thank you.
That was 120 bags of cement and topping and all that we put on that. And that's only a temporary fix, because we're waiting until we see the downtown plan, because I said, if we put that in permanent, it's never going to get changed. So we kind of the discussion we had with the building inspection and city planning and engineering and all was, let's just cap it for now to buy us 3, 4, 5 years of life out of it. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to put a fence around the thing that's probably about 36 inches high, because my choice is either pick up about a shopping bag of dog material off the lot every week, or let the thistles grow so that people don't have the things in there. Both are bad. So we're thinking a fence around there. We'll maybe do something that looks like a rail fence or something, so it looks nice, but it then keeps people with dogs out, right? And I had people say, well, why don't you just open it up and put bags on there, because then I got to get special insurance to allow people to use the property. It creates another whole nightmare there. And if it has no income, it doesn't make it any business sense for doing that. So anybody else, it was a lot of work. And I personally carried the 120 bags.
You got your steps in for the whole month?
Oh, yeah, you're kidding.
Well, anyway, thank you, Joe.
Yep.
Did you have any other reports?
No, I have no report.
All right. Okay, so I'm going to keep mine brief.
My time to that, but I
No.
throw a shout out.
It's nice to have all positive stuff for once, you know? Sometimes these meetings can be kind of rough. So the only thing that I was going to report on tonight is just reminding everybody about Project Go and the sewer relief program that they're working with the city on right now. If you are behind on your sewer bills, you can contact Project Go if you have a financial hardship. And with the current program, they will provide a one-time relief in order to get you up to speed on your bills so it doesn't end up having to go to tax rolls. So obviously that's something we all want to see right now, especially with fire insurance and all that going up. And with all those issues. So last thing you want is your property taxes going up. On that note, it's important for everybody to be aware that our state insurance commissioner issued a 1-year memorandum on non-renewal of insurance due to wildfire risk. And that started on September 8th. So there was a 1-month lapse between the River Fire memorandum. I believe that ended August 8th, or approximately around August 8th. And then between August and then September, with the mosquito fire starting and the governor declaring a state of emergency, there's now a new 1-year memorandum that does include the 95713 zip code. So if you received a letter from your insurance that was dated after September 8th telling you were being non-renewed for wildfire risk, you need to contact your insurance company and let them know that, no, you can't do that. And you can send them a copy of the memorandum. Feel free to reach out to me or staff. We can provide you with that information. It's a little tricky right now because I'm getting a lot of feedback from the public that some of the insurance companies are playing games. Go figure. So if that does happen, we'd be more than happy to help you get in contact with the state insurance commissioner's office to contact your insurance company directly. And, you know,
We should put that as an article on the Colfax connections, just so.
yeah, I actually have something already written up I can send over to Will and we can use that. But I just want to make sure everybody's aware of that. Now, to be fair, that memorandum, it prevents them from non-renewal and from dropping you during that time period until September of next year. It does not prevent them from increasing it astronomically. So that is something else that and I'm going to ask the rest of my council members to please back me up on. Going to be going after the state about, because something needs to be put in place to prevent these increases that make it so people can't afford their mortgages. That is all I have. I'm going to pass it over to Wes.
Madam Mayor, I just want to build on your comments about Project Go. We have had one resident go through the process and was successful. So their utility bill is current, their sewer bill. So the process does work. It is an active program for the community. If you qualify, I encourage those that are behind to please apply for it.
Yeah, the worst you can do is reach out and, you might find out you're not eligible, but you know what? No, if no is the worst you can get, it's definitely no if you don't ask. So please reach out and ask.
And Madam Mayor, can your city attorney make one quick comment?
Please do.
Okay, I have a list of all the bills signed by Governor Newsom related to cannabis. There are 10 of them. I think Tim is specifically referring to 2, but I will send the council a list of the bills that has a little summary of what they basically refer to. And I'm starting to review them. They're complicated.
Yes, well, that's some great reading material for the weekend. Thank you. All right, well, with that being said, we will move to item 9, council business. We only have one item for tonight, so I will pass it to Wes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. At the last council meeting, the staff was provided direction to bring forward a draft letter to the Board of Supervisors and recommendations of the use of the Bear River Campground moving forward. And bear with me as I get to that. And there was 3 main areas for which council wished the letter to contain, and that was for the county to continue operating the Bear River Campground. And no matter who operates the campground, that there would be a 24/7 host on site. And the third item was to continue efforts to mitigate the vegetation field to reduce the fire danger to the campground users, the surrounding county residents, and to the city of Colfax community. So staff has done that. We put it in the letter. So we're open to comments, suggestions, or edits you'd like to see in the letter so we can finalize it and get it signed and sent out.
I'm happy with the letter. Does anybody have any adjustments?
I think the letter looks really good. My only suggestion would be, it'd be really nice if everybody on council signed it.
I agree strongly.
We're all in favor of this.
Absolutely. Easy edit. We can
Easy edit.
Perfect. All right. Well,
do we need a motion to approve that?
Looks like it's just staff direction. So if we're all in consensus, we don't need a motion.
Okay. Fantastic. Thank you.
Direction provided. All right. We'll move to go to the order. Sean, you have anything?
I'm gonna meet with Wes on Friday, hopefully. First Friday off, we changed some schedules at work. So I'll be able to meet with Wes on Friday. We're gonna work on a flyer or something to send out as a mailer for information on the hazardous vegetation ordinance. And also meet and discuss some of the improvement possibilities along the road.
Sorry, can you say that?
We can discuss some of the improvement possibilities along railroad.
Okay, great.
Talk about that. So other than that.
Hopefully that can translate into the future conversation with the new PCTPA director, and we can get them out to do that tour again and do that walkthrough. Because now that we have a turning over of administration, it's time to start pestering again.
Absolutely.
Joe, do you have anything?
No.
All right, Marnie?
No.
Okay, I just want to remind everybody that on Monday night at 6 p.m. we do have a forum to go over our transient occupancy tax. So I invite everybody to please join us, ask questions. This is the time for us to go over it. And I'm looking forward to seeing everybody again on Monday.
All right.
I think that's all I've got.
What time is that?
6 p.m.
Yeah.
What?
It's 6 p.m. here. Is when it's scheduled in. So it's going to be a presentation from SCI Consultant, our firm that's doing the marketing for us, and kind of informal Q&A for the residents and business owners in town to answer questions, and then encourage council to attend to that meeting as well too, although it's not a sanctioned event for council direction at that point.
I think it would be good though, if everybody has time to make it. I think it'd be good, because I think one of the things that's going to come up specifically is how we feel about it. So I'd like council, if you can try to make it, just to be there to specifically answer that question.
Yep. And just for people that are listening, can you define what TOT tax is?
I'll let you do that, Wes.
All right, so TOT is transit occupancy tax. It is a tax that is placed on guest hotels or other short-term lodging facilities. The current measure as it stands sets to increase the current 8% TOT tax that the city's adopted to increase it by 2% to 10%, which is the standard throughout the state in there. So we're looking to that. That's going to increase revenue by about $29,000. It's not significant, but again, it helps us diversify the revenue coming in to help do more of the maintenance that we need to do in town.
Yep.
All right. So Wes, do you have anything for good of the order?
Do not, but I get a note passed to me that we have a late comment from Larry Hilberg.
Oh, if Larry wants to go ahead and provide his comments, we'll take them.
Can you hear me?
We can.
I would have spoken in public comment, but I was expecting that the public would get an opportunity to weigh in regarding the letter that Colfax is sending to represent all of its community. And I'm surprised that that was not offered. And it seems to me that since the action was already taken, that what I was going to say became moot. So I'll just leave it at my disappointment.
And I apologize for that, Larry. You're right. I actually skipped over public comment on that item. So just so that you are aware, we can take your public comment at this time. And if it is appropriate, we can change staff direction. No formal action was taken. There was no motion. So if you would like to make your public comments at this time, we would be more than happy to accept them.
Okay, I'll be relatively brief. So August 4th, 2021, about 14 months ago, the city was evacuated due to the river fire. Probably everyone in the room knows at least several people that lost everything. The cause is known, but largely undisclosed. The majority of the speakers at that meeting, at the county supervisors meeting, were local. And they spoke of concern about fire. Most who spoke of the campground and the need for the campground were not local. And in my opinion, I don't think it's in Colfax's interest at this time to return to the status quo just so easily in the short term. I know the county has closed the campground, is considering ending its lease, and in my humble opinion, probably is not going to be interested in opening the campground again because of liability. And I think that because this was a crisis, that there's an opportunity in it. So what do I believe? I agree with the brush and tree fire mitigation and access to firefighting water. I agree with you that it should be part of the county park and recreation plan. I believe the county should renew its lease, but that they continue to operate only the group campground, not the other campground area. And even if hosted, I believe it should be hosted, by the way, that's a beautiful stretch of river and has a lot more to offer in the long term than just continuing a campground for people that come from other places. Things like rafting and kayaking and tubing and fishing and prospecting and hiking trails and education opportunities. And I would instead advocate that since it's the Placer County and regional taxpayers that are paying for this, that this would be better served as a local and regional park for us. Recreation seems to be nowadays often spoken of as a cost center. I don't believe it is. I believe it's a duty of government to provide recreation and recreation areas. I do not believe there's a duty to run a campground there. And again, I'd be surprised if the county took that path. I think the group campground would be a great compromise, but I believe that beautiful stretch of river would be far better served as local and regional use as a day area, and that all those fire pits and barbecues be torn out, because there's still a lot of trees leading right up the hill to Colfax, past residences on all the streets, all those people that spoke to us. So that's my spiel. Thank you for the opportunity to say it.
Thank you, Larry. I think that your sentiments are very well in line with the discussion that council had. I'm going to ask council, would you guys feel comfortable with adding the word group between Dry River and campground on item 1 of the letter?
I'm not.
You would not?
Nope. I'm sorry, I want to see the campground preserved. And a lot of people mentioned, I just got to say this, I'm sorry. A lot of people mentioned removing the fire rings. So even if it was a day use area, even if you just had the group campgrounds, you can still have a warming fire, you can still have a cooking fire, and then you're having it in an uncontrolled area and you don't have an actual area where somebody could say, you should have it in there, as opposed to, oh, you got a cooking fire on the rocks or whatever, which is what seems to be determined as the cause of river fire. So having those camp stoves and the fire pits available and open could have prevented that, actually, as opposed to making those people build a fire down by the river.
Yeah.
So just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention, because it's not illegal to have a cooking or warming fire. So
I think the key message from my perspective is they have to have a water suppression system in place there, which may be nothing more than a pump that pumps water from the river to each of the day use sites or camping sites, whichever they are. But if you're going to allow people to go down there, even for day use, what do you do if you go down to an area like that for a day use? You're going to cook hot dogs or something over some kind of fire. And now we're back to the same problem again. So that fire suppression piece to me is a critical item. And the cost of putting it in is some plastic pipe, a bunch of valves, and a pump. Yeah. Right? Because they already have power down there. So it's not like you have to invent the world over again.
So it sounds to me like the letter intact is as it should be, and that's what council's comfortable with. Okay,
Yeah,
so direction.
Because the other option is to completely get rid of that whole area.
Well, and even then, it's still so popular and it's already a tourist location that, like Sean said, if you don't have people there supervising, watching and doing the job, or having those designated areas, you end up with people in bad behavior.
Yep.
So I would agree. Okay. Well, it sounds like staff direction remains the same. So I will circle back to where we were previously. And it sounds like we're at adjournment. So thank you very much, everybody.